Over the last decade, America has witnessed an alarming surge in housing costs. Median home prices have skyrocketed, leaving many wondering if the American dream of homeownership is slipping away. The numbers paint a stark picture. In many cities, what was once considered a starter home now demands a seven-figure sum. This dramatic rise has outpaced wage growth, putting immense pressure on families and individuals struggling to keep a roof over their heads. For many, the dream of owning a home feels like a distant fantasy. The relentless climb of housing costs has created a sense of despair and frustration, particularly among young people. They are burdened with student loans, stagnant wages, and now, an increasingly unattainable housing market. The traditional path to middle-class stability, education, work, homeownership, seems to be crumbling for an entire generation. The consequences of this housing crisis are far-reaching. Families are forced to make impossible choices between paying rent or putting food on the table. The burden of rising housing costs falls heavily on everyday Americans, particularly those in low and middle-income brackets. Renters face an increasingly difficult environment, with rents rising faster than incomes in many cities. This forces individuals and families to allocate a larger portion of their earnings to housing, leaving less for essentials like food, healthcare, and transportation. The financial strain is taking a toll on families, often forcing them to make difficult decisions. Parents are forced to cut back on extracurricular activities for their children, sacrificing valuable opportunities for growth and development. Others are delaying essential healthcare visits or skipping medications due to the high cost of rent. The constant struggle to make ends meet creates immense stress and anxiety, impacting overall well-being. The lack of affordable housing options also limits opportunities for upward mobility. As the 2024 election approaches, housing affordability is emerging as a key issue for voters. The struggles of everyday Americans are impossible to ignore. From soaring rents to stagnant wages, the lack of affordable housing options is a top concern for many. This issue resonates across party lines, uniting voters from different backgrounds and socioeconomic statuses. Candidates who prioritize comprehensive housing policies are likely to garner significant support. Voters are looking for solutions that address the root causes of the crisis, such as increasing the supply of affordable housing units and providing rental assistance to those in need. Historical data suggests that economic anxiety, particularly related to housing, can significantly influence voter turnout and behavior. The housing crisis demands urgent attention from policymakers at all levels of government. Voters are looking for concrete solutions that provide immediate relief and address the systemic issues driving the affordability crisis. One crucial step is to increase the supply of affordable housing units. This can be achieved through a combination of federal, state, and local initiatives, such as tax incentives for developers and investments in public housing projects. Additionally, policymakers should explore innovative solutions like inclusionary zoning policies, which require developers to include a certain percentage of affordable units in new construction projects. Another critical area of focus is providing direct assistance to renters struggling to afford housing. Expanding existing programs like housing choice vouchers can provide a lifeline for low-income families and individuals facing eviction. Furthermore, policymakers should consider implementing rent control measures in high-cost areas to prevent exorbitant rent increases and protect tenants from displacement. The housing crisis represents a crossroads for both housing policy and American democracy. As the cost of housing continues to rise, it threatens the very fabric of our society. It undermines economic mobility, exacerbates inequality, and erodes the promise of opportunity that defines the American dream. The 2024 election presents a pivotal moment for voters to demand change. By making housing affordability a central issue in the campaign, they can hold elected officials accountable for enacting meaningful solutions. This requires engaging in informed dialogue, supporting candidates who prioritize housing justice, and advocating for policies that create a more equitable and affordable housing market. The future of our communities and our democracy depends on our ability to address this crisis with urgency and compassion.